Welcome to our weekly new global media talk show. Today is December 22nd, 2024. Today we have our guest, Mr. Malick H.B. Jallow, constitutional lawyer, University of the Gambia. And I have my co-host here, Ousman Camara, my other co-host, Sam Ceesay, and Famara will join us later. So I'm your host here, Momodou Sawaneh. Welcome to the show. So our topic today is the Gambia Supreme Court and its power. Our topic will be the Gambian Supreme Court and its power. So we welcome on board Mr. Malick Jallow. Malick, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the host, Mr.
Sawaneh.
Mr. Sawaneh. Thank you very much for having me on this conversation. I'll call it a conversation. And thank you, Ousman, also for joining us. I noticed that you were having difficulties with logging in, but I'm glad that you have finally been able to join us.
Thank you.
So I'm here from Banjul this evening, participating in this very enlightening program, I hope. On behalf of my foundation, I have a foundation, a charitable foundation for children, the Malick Jallow Foundation for Children. And my participation here today is in that capacity. Of course, you could throw in the capacity of me being a lawyer and also being a constitutional lawyer who has not only taught law and constitutional law at the university for 11 years, but also who has litigated a lot of constitutional matters before our courts. So it is in that context that I'm joining you today, and I hope I'll be of some help to you with respect to enlightening you and your followers on the, I wouldn't call it the powers of the Supreme Court, but let's say the jurisdiction and work of the Supreme Court of the Gambia. Thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Thank you. So can you give us a little bit introduction about yourself and then the topic that we have on the agenda, how important that is to the Gambia, and then so folks at large. Thank you.
Well, I think I've already given you a bit of a synopsis about what I do. Of course, my professional background is that I'm a lawyer. I see in your flyer, I even mentioned it to Hassan. I'm listed there as constitutional law lecturer at the University of the Gambia. Yes, that was for some 11 years. But I'm no longer with the UTG. I've stopped teaching law at the UTG for a few months now, focusing on other challenges. But yes, it is correct that I taught law at the University of the Gambia for 11 years. And during that period, I consistently taught constitutional law year in, year out, both constitutional law 1 and 2. Aside from that, also, I have a law firm in Banjul called the Law Offices of Malick H.B. Jallow, ESQ, that I've been running since 2014, I believe, 2014. I also work as a legal consultant for the European Union, for the UN, for other development agencies, including the UNDP, etc., etc. And then, perhaps of greater relevance to this program today is that I'm also the founder and president of the Malick Jallow Foundation for Children, a charitable organization that I established in 2013 to provide pro bono legal services for children in conflict with the law, but to also help to address some of the root causes as to why children get into conflict with the law in the first place. So I wouldn't want to bore you with too much. There's a lot to say about oneself always, but I think for now that should do for the purposes of this program, as far as my own personal introduction is concerned. Moving on to the topic of the day, of course, you don't need to be a lawyer or a rocket scientist to know that the Supreme Court is the most important court of the land. the highest court of the land, and called the apex court of the land as well. So they're very much the alpha and omega, if you like, or the driving force behind our substantive judicial system.
Right. So when it comes to the Supreme Court,
and it would interest you to know, of course, by way of historical background, is that we only had the Supreme Court in the Gambia as a result of the 1997 Constitution. Prior to the advent of the 1997 Constitution, the final appellate court in the Gambia was not a Supreme Court, but the Privy Council, or the Privy Council, if you like, sitting all the way in the United Kingdom. So it was only after the 1997 Constitution that we had our own Supreme Court, indigenous Supreme Court, based in the Gambia as a final appellate court. So that's a bit of a historical snack for you, if you like. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Wow, that's interesting. All right, so I'll just jump in a little bit. Questions I have here regarding the Supreme Court. Can you give us like the way Supreme Court has been doing with these three republics we had?
Sorry?
Can you give us a little bit about the way Supreme Court, how they've been doing so far from these three republics? The Jawaras Republic.
Well, it's not so much for me to pass judgment on the quality of their work or the utility of what they've been doing. I think their record will speak for itself. You know, they entertain cases, they make judgments. Ultimately, it's for people, various stakeholders, to look at those judgments and form their own opinions. What I can certainly do, of course, is that I can guide you through the legal provisions in the Constitution that provides for the Supreme Court. And for that, we'll start with the fact that under the 1997 Constitution, the Supreme Court is constituted by the Honorable Chief Justice, who is the head of the judiciary, and the head of the judicial branch, if you like, or the judicial arm of the state. So it comprises of the Chief Justice and 4 other judges, a minimum of 4 other judges. So essentially, at any given time, the Supreme Court is required to have at least 5 judges. It could be more, it could be 7, it could be 9, but at least 5 judges. And those judges must possess certain qualifications. For example, it is either you have served as a judge of the Court of Appeal for 5 years, or if you have not, that you have been a legal practitioner for at least 12 years. It is only then that you are eligible or qualified to be appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court. Coming to their powers, of course, their powers can be divided into 3 segments. It could be divided into their original jurisdiction, their exclusive jurisdiction, as well as their appellate jurisdiction. Original and exclusive jurisdiction, these are cases that can only be entertained at the Supreme Court and nowhere else. For example, if there is any case that requires interpretation of any provision of the Constitution that falls short of Section 18 to Section 33 and Section 36 of Section 5, which essentially deals with fundamental rights and freedoms, the Supreme Court is the right forum to go to. So to put it in simple parlance, any question of interpretation of the Constitution shall go to the Supreme Court, except those that fall within fundamental human rights. This is exclusive to the Supreme Court. So you cannot start it at the High Court, you cannot start it at the Court of Appeal, you cannot start it at the Court of Appeal, you cannot start it at the Magistrates' Courts. Another exclusive jurisdiction that they have is with respect to election petitions, for the office of the President and also for National Assembly members, etc., etc. These can also only be entertained by the Supreme Court. So if there's a dispute with respect to the outcome of those type of elections, the Supreme Court is the only forum where you can go to have that dispute, settled and adjudicated upon. Another exclusive jurisdiction that they actually have is where there is a doubt or where there is a dispute with respect to whether the National Assembly has acted in excess of the powers provided for them by law or whether any other public authority, for that matter, has acted in excess of powers provided to them by the law, and you wish to challenge actions that emanate therefrom, the Supreme Court is the right forum for you to go to. The other power or jurisdiction that they have is appellate, of course. That is where, for example, this one is simpler and perhaps more easier to understand by the general public, in the sense that it's just logical. If you have a matter that goes to the Court of Appeal on appeal, the Court of Appeal rules, and you're not happy, you are allowed to make a further appeal to the Supreme Court of that matter. That is Supreme Court in its appellate jurisdiction. Now, when it comes to criminal matters, what is clear to state here is that the only way criminal matters can get to the Supreme Court is by way of its appellate work. So let's say you're convicted by the High Court, you appeal to the Court of Appeal, your conviction is upheld, and you wish to further challenge it, then you can go to the Supreme Court. But unlike the High Court, criminal matters cannot start at the Supreme Court. In other words, the Supreme Court has no original jurisdiction when it comes to criminal matters. only appellate jurisdiction. So this is the matrix of jurisdiction and, if you like, scope of work that the Constitution actually bestows on the Supreme Court. In summary.
Thank you. All right. So before I move further with further questions, I would allow my co-host here, Ousman, to come in if he has
any questions that you wish to ask as a follow-up to what I've just said. You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Thank you so very much, Mr. Jallow. It has been very educative indeed. Knowing the background that you have in terms of law. I just wanted to ask these questions essentially, as far as the Supreme Court is concerned. Will there be any opportunity or by any chance that the Supreme Court make judgment and the judgment basically could be challenged? Is there any opportunity or chance that such judgment could be challenged further? Is there any chance, please? Thank you.
Yeah, are you there, Mr. Jallow? Mr. Jallow, can you hear? Mr. Jallow, can you hear us? I don't think Mr. Jallow can hear us. I say I don't think he can hear.
Yes, I'm with you. I can get you quite clearly. Yes, I can get you quite clearly.
Okay.
Yeah, did you get the question?
I can get you quite clearly.
Okay.
I can hear you quite clearly. I can get you very clearly.
Yeah, did you get the
you got the question, right? Yes. Hello, Mr. Jallow, do you get the last question that I asked, please?
No, I couldn't hear you. Please repeat it.
Yes, I said, oh, sorry for that. Perhaps it's the network. My question was like, we understand that the Supreme Court is the last court. Are you here? Can you hear me?
Yes, it's better now. It's much better now.
All right. I said we understand that the Supreme Court is the last court as far as the legal judgments is concerned. Now, I said, if by any chance the Supreme Court make judgments, could that judgment be challenged further? That's what I asked. I think we lost him a little bit.
Yeah. He's gonna come in right back. So I think that question is the Court of Appeal. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I know like the Court of Appeal, they do have that option where you can appeal, stuff. So I don't know if that would be an answer to it, but I know Court of Appeals can, in the Court of Appeals you can appeal, you can do some appeals, but I'm not sure. I'm not a lawyer, so I cannot tell you if the Supreme. Yeah,
That's mm.
yeah. But anyway,
Yeah, it is from the
what I wanted to ask him was this: one of the questions was like, how is the Supreme Court in these three different, these three different republics? I know that's something that he said he couldn't explain or he couldn't say or determine what the Supreme Court performance are in terms of like um these three folks. Like he's back.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, you're back now. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Jallow. Go ahead.
Ousman, can you repeat your question, please? You were asking a very interesting question before I lost the internet.
Thank you so very much. And we understand that as far as the upper court is concerned, as far as the legal judgments are concerned, you have the High Court, the Appeal Court, and of course the Supreme Court. I said the Supreme Court
Yes, can
could be
Ousman
the
repeat his
last
question?
bastion as far as
He was
judgment
asking
is
a question
concerned.
before I lost my network. If you can repeat that question
Oh,
so that I can answer it.
all right. Thank you. Can you hear me clearly now? I think he's battling with connection at the moment. Yeah, Mr. Sawaneh?
The network is not kind to us today.
Yes, we understand. Um, Mr. Jallow, are you with us now?
Yes, now it's better. It's much better now.
Yes, I will still once repeat my question again. I said, considering
No, I can get you. I can get you now. I can
the
get you.
all right, very good. Considering the judgment made by courts as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, I said the Supreme Court, we understand that is the last court as far as judgment is concerned. You have
Yes, please.
outlined very important judgment that the Supreme Court is powered to make judgments on such cases. Now, I said, is there any opportunity or by any chance that a Supreme Court make judgment and such judgment could be challenged elsewhere? Is there any chance for that? Thank you.
Yes, in fact, the Supreme Court rules, the rules of their own court already make provision for that. You can do what we call a review application. You can come to the same court again if you believe that a particular judgment was made and there are exceptional circumstances to believe that there is a fact or something that perhaps if drawn to the attention of the court would have led the court to reach a different decision. You're allowed to make what we call a review application. It can be entertained, but only in very exceptional cases. In other words, it should not be based on the same issues that the court had and facts that the court had already adjudicated upon. It must be based on fresh evidence that was not to the knowledge of the court, and that you believe, if brought to the knowledge of the court, could perhaps lead the court to a different outcome. There is that possibility. There is that possibility. We call them review applications.
All right. what if, for example, the court makes their judgment and then they are done and dusted with your judgment? The applicant further further the case elsewhere apart from the Supreme Court of the Gambia?
And there is also the possibility, of course, for example, we have what we call interlocutory applications. These are applications that don't actually determine the final outcome of a case. Let's say, for example, an application for an injunction. Ordinarily, even though the Constitution says that the Supreme Court should sit as a panel of minimum of 5 judges, but the exception is interlocutory applications. Where interlocutory applications are made, it can be entertained by one judge. But if the party is not convinced with the decision of that one judge, you can make an application for it to be heard by the full panel of judges, which is almost tantamount to some sort of an appeal or a review of the decision that was made by the single judge. There's also that possibility.
Is there any other possibility of taking the matter to other courts outside the Gambia after the Supreme Court already made their judgment? Is there any possibility of that?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yes, I said, is there any possibility once again after the Supreme Court made their judgment and then you want to further? We're still having a problem with connection, I think. Mr. Sawaneh. Okay, Mr. Jallow is back again. Mr. Jallow, can I ask that question again? Yes, Mr. Sawaneh, we can proceed, please. Mr. Sawaneh, you can unmute and we proceed.
Yeah, Mr. Jallow, can you hear us now? Yeah, can you hear us? Yeah. Mr. Jallow, can you hear me? I don't think he can hear me. Can you hear me? Mr. Jallow. Say something. Maybe he can hear you.
Hello, Ousman.
Mr. Jallow, can you hear me here, please?
Yes, I can get you. I'm waiting and listening.
Yeah, but can you hear
me?
Right. Can you hear me?
Can you hear Mr. Sawaneh, please?
Okay. He can hear you, but he cannot. Maybe it's Gambia thing. Okay, I have Famara, our other co-host. Famara, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sawaneh, and then Ousman Camara. Thank you. And,
I can hear Mr. Sawaneh quite well. I can hear all of you.
You might want to check the modem or router connection.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so very much, Jallow. Yes, Mr. Drammeh, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. So we just talking about the Supreme Court, Mr. Jallow. We've seen that Gambian Supreme Court comprises of Nigerians and other nationals. Is there any requirements, like in terms of the number of foreign nationals to be on a Supreme Court? Ousman, did you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you very well.
Yeah, I don't think Mr. Malick can hear me. I mean, is it because do I sound low or?
No, I did not say that. There are no. In fact, as we speak right now, right now, we don't have any foreign national on the Supreme Court.
Okay, that answered that question because
Sorry, come again.
No, I want, I got that because I remember when Drammeh, the time of Drammeh, there were many foreign nationals on the
Please
Supreme
come
Court.
again, Mr. Sawaneh.
Yeah, I'm saying the time of Drammeh, there were many national Supreme Court national from other countries, from other nationals. So that's why I was asking that.
I can hear you quite well, Mr. Sawaneh. I can get you very well.
No, I was the
I
reason
can hear
why
you loud and clear, Mr.
yeah, the
Sawaneh. Can
reason
you
why
repeat your question, please?
the reason why I asked that because during the Jammeh era, there were many nationals from other countries that are in the Supreme Court. So I just want to find out if there is a criteria or if it is just a coincidence. I think it's lacking. I think it's lacking. I mean that.
Yeah, I don't know whether the phone is a bit far from him, but we having issues with Jallow connecting accordingly. I don't know what's the problem, whether he has a low connection, but it is not forthcoming. Mr. Jallow, are you okay? Are you there? Mr. Sawaneh, can you hear me, please?
You are good. You're good. You and Famara are good. Okay, I think what we have to do here, because if the guests cannot hear us, then our questions are
No,
delayed.
actually, the constitution provides for common law judges, judges from common law jurisdiction or qualified lawyers from common law jurisdictions to be appointed to our superior courts. It is provided for by the constitution, provided they meet the threshold. Provided they meet the threshold of 12 years in legal practice or 5 years on the bench at the Court of Appeal, they're eligible for appointment. But speaking from a practical sense, presently, I don't think we have any foreign national on the Supreme Court bench. All the judges that I know of are Gambian nationals, and that is a very good example, certainly with respect to the efforts for Gambianization of the judiciary.
Okay, thank you for that. Before I let Famara come in, so when it comes to the judges, how is the position of how are their position being paid in terms of salary that could stop them from being corrupted by the government or other outsiders? Did you hear my question? Famara.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I think he for some reason there's an elapse in time. That's
Yeah.
what I'm noticing.
Okay, maybe if he take off the video, maybe you just speak on the mic. Maybe that might better too. I don't know, but we need to see him as well. So just like myself, I'm at work. That's why.
Exactly, yeah. Because when the video is shown, it shows like when this is different from Zoom. Zoom will not show you, but
Okay. Okay.
this one will show you like you are there, but your camera is just not on.
Right.
Ousman, you welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Ousman, do you have anything to say before we get Malick?
Well, I'm fine at the moment. We can proceed with Malik, please.
Yeah, I think there's an elapse on his side, but you guys are all in the Gambia, so I'm kind of like, I think it might be his device.
Yes, I am getting you very well. Absolutely, very, very well. I don't
I
have
can
any
hear all of
problem with
you.
audio.
I can hear all of you loud and clear. I don't know why there's a delay in you getting me from this end, but I can hear both of you loud and clear.
Okay. Mr. Sawaneh, we can proceed with Malick now, please.
Okay, Mr. Drammeh, do you have something for Malick?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Jallow. My name is Famara Drammeh. I'm one of the co-hosts for the weekly program of the New Global
Can we have
Media.
Mr. Drammeh's photo, please? Can we see him since we are all on
Okay,
video?
I'm
Can we
at
just see
work.
everybody?
That's why I'm at work. That's why. So I usually go on when I'm at work. So that's why I didn't show my video.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So Mr. Jallow, thank you so much for your time, and then good to have you here. And then I just want to know, do we have an environmental court in the Gambia?
That is a bit out of context. I would rather we just, since the topic of the day is about the Supreme Court,
Okay.
I would rather we just restrict ourselves to the work of the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court.
So that hopefully we will have another opportunity to expand and look into something else on a later date, because we are constrained for time also. I have to dash off in the next 15 minutes, I think,
Okay,
maximum. So if we can just, there is so much to talk about the Supreme Court, I believe, that could certainly occupy us.
Okay, that's very good. I mean, I just want to know, like, even Supreme Court, whether they can be able to hear environmental cases as well. So that's maybe something I want to know too.
Yes, certainly. It's not an original and exclusive jurisdiction that they have, but if there are cases of that nature and they get to the Supreme Court through the appellate ladder, then of course, yes, certainly the Supreme Court can entertain and hear it through its appellate jurisdiction.
Okay, excellent. Yep. Yeah, I think the other question I wanted to ask was, I think Sawaneh asked that, and I
Depending on
think
the context, it could also be heard through its other entry points as well.
Okay, excellent.
Barbara, you can go ahead and ask that question again. Maybe
I wish the network was much kinder to us. The program would have been of greater utility.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Sawaneh, I just wanted to the question you were asking him, and he wasn't understanding it. Like now,
you can go ahead and take it and ask that. Yeah.
Yeah, the Supreme Court judges are all Gambians right now, so we don't have any foreigner in the Supreme Court. That one I know. So Malick just answered that. That was what I wanted to answer that question you asked, since Malick was not audible at that time, but he answered that question. So yeah, I'm good. I think that's all I wanted to find out.
Okay, thank you, Famara. Ousman, do you have any questions for Malick?
Yes, Ms. Jallow,
Thank you very
I just
much, Mr.
wanted to.
Drammeh. Yes, just to confirm that that's already been answered.
Yes.
Yeah, go on, Ousman, please.
Yes, the issue of the yes, thank you. The issue of the ECOWAS court. Normally, I don't know whether, if, for example, the Supreme Court make judgment, can they overrule the judgment of the Supreme Court, like the ECOWAS court, please?
No, the ECOWAS court has a different mandate. The ECOWAS court is not is a human rights court of some sort. So it is not an appellate court for domestic jurisdictions. So, for example, it doesn't override domestic sovereignty. The best way to look at its work is that it probably plays a complementary role to domestic systems. So, for example, if you have a human rights matter, you have different options at your disposal. You can decide that, okay, let me utilize the domestic system, or you can decide that, no, I want to go to the ECOWAS court. These are options available to you. But whichever option you take, you should know that there are rules governing that particular system. If it is the domestic system, you go to the High Court, for example. You know that if you're not happy, you have to go to the Court of Appeal, and if you're not happy, you go to the Supreme Court. But there is nothing stopping you also from saying that, in fact, I'm not going to file this case in the Gambia, I'm going to the ECOWAS court. That is also your right. You can also do that. So it's not a substitute or an appellate court for the domestic systems, certainly not the Supreme Court, but it can play a complementary role in the sense that it gives the citizenry more options, especially when it comes to human rights matters.
Okay.
Mr.
Yeah.
Jallow.
Right. Thank you so much.
ECOWAS court cannot overturn a substantive decision of the Supreme Court of the Gambia. No,
Wonderful.
it doesn't.
Okay.
It shouldn't have that power.
Mr. Jallow, if somebody is, if let's say somebody take government personnel to Supreme Court, government matters to Supreme Court, and then Supreme Court rule in favor of the citizen, does the government have the mandate to appeal or to overturn that?
Any other question or comments?
Oh, I think he doesn't hear me that much. You know, you don't hear my question, right?
Yeah, I think we are having issues with access to get connected directly with Jallow. I don't know what is the background or the connection.
I think it's Jallow is having issue with me as well, because he can hear you guys more.
Yes, Mr. Sawaneh. So somebody what? Sorry.
Okay, Mr. Jallow and Mr. Can one of you explain to him, because I think he doesn't hear me properly.
Now, maybe what I understand is that Jallow get informations a little bit slow, because I don't know, because of connections. When you speak, it will take a moment before it gets to him. I think that's why we are having this a problem currently. He has problem with his locations at the moment.
No, I know that, but you and Famara, he could hear you much faster than me. Did you notice that too?
Okay, yes. Except he comes back, but right now there's a connection problem with his locations. He's loading where it is at the moment. I'm not seeing him.
Right. When he comes, can you repeat this question to him? What I was trying to say is that when somebody goes with the government, when somebody go to the Supreme Court with the government, like their case, like a citizen, and they rule in favor of the citizen, can the government do something about that? Like a case between the government and a civilian. That's what I want to find out. And then the other question is, how corruptible are these judges? Is their salary enough for them? You know.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the two ones. You're gonna be my translator, fortunately, because you, Camara, he hears you guys more than me.
But it's all right. We're still waiting for him to come back.
But before he comes back, since we have our viewers here, Famara, can you and Ousman just throw something out before he comes back in regarding this area? I know you guys are not lawyers or so, but at least to keep our audience, you know.
As far as I'm concerned, I think it has been very impartial for the Supreme Court, in my opinion, as far as this current administration is concerned. We have seen.
I also noticed that.
Yeah, we have seen individual or citizens takes issues to the Supreme Court or to court, and they win cases over to the government or institution. We have seen a couple of those cases that cases were ruled in favor of the citizens, and then the court has to order the government to compensate so and so to those citizens. We have not seen such kind of cases in the Second Republic or in the second regime, where the Supreme Court has ever been ruling in the favor of the government, because that is how it is at the time. Because many describe the Supreme Court as a mercenary court, where the government will use it as a yardstick to do or to manipulate matters or issues in the favor of government at all time. Many, in fact, suggested, which of course we have seen, that the Supreme Court has been a foreign court because many of the judges there were all, foreign judges, and such judges, their impartiality have been questions, because we have seen, time without numbers, their judgments were ever been done in the favor of the government, because we have been, registering judges from Nigeria, judges from Ghana, and these were countries that the Gambia have been benefiting as far as, appointment of judges are concerned at the Supreme Court. So with the current setting, or the current standard that the government, the Gambia is enjoying, when you look at our Supreme Court, it's all Gambians in totality. And then this court has now given birth to a new brand, where the people of the Gambia are now building more and more confidence in the court, because the court has made judgment in favor of the civilian, time with our numbers, and then that's such issues. When it happens, the people will build confidence to say, you know what, things are getting back on track. Confident impartiality of the court is also coming back on track. So I think, in my little judgment, or in my little opinion, I would certainly say, as far as experience is concerned and then history is concerned, I would certainly say with confidence that the current leadership, or the current um, collection of judges at the Supreme Court and their function, the current one there has been.
Yeah, he froze too.
Mr. Sawaneh?
Yeah, we had you. We had you.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Drammeh just called. He said he's having issues with the connections, so I'm not sure he can continue with the program again.
Okay. All right. So we can wrap it up. Let's Famara come in. You can finish, and perhaps Famara can come in, and we can just wrap it up. Yeah.
Well,
But
thank you.
you have just, you,
I
you
just need
made
to-
a huge you have made a huge observation, and that's why I was trying. That's why I was driving at, saying that what are the three republics? How are they when it comes to the Supreme Court? But he categorically said that he cannot assess, I mean, the performance of each and every republic, because he didn't want to get into that. But what you just saying is an evidence of what has been happening. If you wanna say good thing about this government, one thing that shouldn't be left out is that, or this republic, I wouldn't even say this government, but this republic, would be that the courts. The courts has been a little more impartial, according to what we are seeing. And what has contributed to that? It could be different factors. It could be the fact that Gambians, are now more aware. They are more kind of patriotic, you can call, or the embodiments of the Supreme Court members are Gambians themselves. So they look at things from the realistic point of view. You can also say maybe corruption has been, I mean, like, at least mitigated to the certain extent that these people would, are not moved by, the any corrupt behavior from the powerful. You can say a lot of different things, but we have seen Nyakumba's case, we have seen Pamoru Bojan's case, and Bora's case, where the outcome has favored the citizens. And this is good for Gambia. This is good for Gambia. This is what we want. You know, as we are moving, even politically, we want people to start voting, just like how they voted on the parliament. I mean, when it comes to the parliament, when it comes to the what do you call, councillors, and then mayors and so forth. People started to vote based on merits, based on those who are fit to do the job, not based on tribalism, not based on nepotism, not based on who you know. When it comes to presidency, because still that's where we are struggling. You see, the judiciary has been getting better, the local governments getting better, because those ones people are voting alongside the individual's capability, their potential, and what they are propaganding for, or what they are campaigning for. So we are getting there. It's slow, but I believe at some point we will get there, because nobody thought the judiciary would have been improved like this. So just to add that to your point, I have observed that too. Anytime there is a court, decision that comes out, I get surprised. I'm like, wow, is this the Gambia that you know, that I used to live in? Yeah. And sometimes the government could be even be mad about that outcome, but what can they do? Now the only thing is, I don't think they have paid these people yet. So that's where the settlements haven't been settled yet. So that's what I haven't read that in the news yet. Maybe it's done under the table. But all I'm trying to say here, just to add to Usman, since we don't have Mr. Malick back, just to finish this last 5 minutes, I just want to add those thoughts there. And I also think you know having the having the foreign individuals to become our judges, nothing wrong with it if they meet the qualification. But it's just that, do they know the country, and are they also do they know our ethics and our custom, our culture, to be able to make certain judgment? Because it's very important. You come from a different culture, there are different ways to see things. So, but the people that you're dealing with, those people's culture, their ethics, the morals, also have something to do with judgment when you come to being a judge. So, I will end up my point here. Those are only the observation and how corruptive these judges are. Perhaps I would say they are less corruptive now than prior, because prior decisions have been made that are definitely not aligned with human rights views or human rights perspectives. So this time around, we are seeing a lot of great things happening in the Gambia when it comes to judiciary. The credit goes to who? Of course, people would deny, but wherever the blames goes to, those ones will get the credit as well. Because if it goes bad, they will get it. So I will give them the credit, which is the leadership, because they will get the blame as well if it was not going bad. Even though I think the Gambian people are the ones that the credit goes. The citizens, the patriotic citizens who were there on those benches, are the ones that credit goes to. But again, I'll give the credit to the government as well, because it happens in their time. Okay, I have Mr. Jones here, so we can just wrap it up. I think he just come to wrap it up. Yeah. So, Usman, you're gonna be you are the interpreter, so he hears you more than me. So go ahead. Usman, we cannot hear you now. You are muted.
Yes, hello. Mr. Jallow, are you back?
Yeah.
Mr. Jallow?
Yes, I can hear you. I can get you.
All right. I think we are concluding the program now, because we have like few minutes.
I can hear you, Ousman. I can hear you loud and clear. Can you get me?
Yes, I think the communication is slow. I don't know. When we speak,
Yes, Ousman, you can go on. I can hear you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I think we are trying to wrap up the program, because we have few minutes to end the whole program.
Yeah.
It's just program. So I think this question that we wanted to ask to you was, in case a private individual takes the government to court, especially the Supreme Court, if the Supreme Court rule in favor of the private individual, should the government in totality accept the judgment of the Supreme Court, or should that's where we want you to make some few consideration in terms of your observations, please.
I think he's talking. Is he muted?
Well, first of all, I think I could speak from experience as somebody who has represented clients in cases against the government, against the state, and who have done so successfully. To the government's credit, as far as I know, it can be an uphill task enforcing judgments when you obtain them against the government, but it's possible. I had a client who took the government to court, won the case, and was paid. The court awarded him compensation, and the government paid the compensation of nearly $1 million. Of course, it is very different to your conventional way of enforcing judgments, because it's a government, it's a state machinery. So you have to go through several layers of engagement before ultimately the final thing is done, which is compliance and payment. But yes, it can be done. It has been done, and it's becoming increasingly difficult, unfortunately. The scope of will in respecting court judgments, especially where monetary awards or compensations are concerned, is seemingly on the decline on the part of the government. And one would just seize this opportunity to encourage them that complying with court judgments is not a weakness, but it is actually a strength. It's a strength. It demonstrates a will to respect the rule of law, to respect and abide by the independence and sanctity of the judiciary and its orders, judgments and decisions. And this is a credit to any government. So we encourage the government to resuscitate that trend that had been displayed in the heydays of the change, i.e. Change from Jammeh's regime to this regime, and to strengthen it rather than weaken it. On the other point, of course, it's not even negotiable. The government has a duty, because remember, when you take the state or the government to court, they are a party just like any other individual, represented by the Attorney General. So as you would expect in all cases where the court makes a decision, if it is in your favor, you rejoice and enforce. If it is against you, you're expected to comply and respect that judgment. Whether it's a private individual or whether it's the government, it doesn't really matter. A party to a matter is a party to a matter. And court judgments and decisions are meant to be abided by and respected and fully implemented. It is non-negotiable. It's not as if the government is doing a favor to the courts or the other party. It's a duty that they have, as per the Constitution, to respect and abide by court decisions.
All right, Mr. Sawaneh, I think.
Yeah. So what about the other question of the corruption issue?
I hope that answers your question or query, Ousman. Sorry.
Yes. Thank you so very much, Mr. Jallow. Mr. Sawaneh.
Yes. The other question
Ousman,
about the corruption, you can ask him that.
Or have we lost you again?
Ousman.
Yes.
Yeah, can you ask him the final question that I had?
Yes, can you remind me quickly before I lost it, please?
Because that's the corruptive nature of the Supreme Court members. Are they corruptible or not?
Yes, I apologize for that. Mr. Jallow, this is the last question for us, and then for you, with the issue of the impartiality of the judges at the Supreme Court. Could there be any chance that the Supreme Court could be corrupt, or the judges of the Supreme Court could be corrupt to a degree that their judgment might not be impartial to the principle of the constitutions and the rulings as well? Thank you so very much.
Yeah, I think he can hear us now. Famara, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything. Just want to thank you so much. I know I came a little bit late, but just to thank Mr. Jallow for his time to be with us.
I couldn't possibly answer that question because it is speculative, and I think it's a very dangerous trend to take. If you had come up with a particular instance with evidence, for example, of impropriety, maybe one could have even had remotely be tempted to delve into that. But this is speculative, and it's a very dangerous trend to take. The sanctity of the judiciary is something that should be jealously guarded, and I don't think we should embark on that expedition of speculation without anything concrete on the table. So I'm unable to actually say anything useful with respect to that remark that you've just made, because I will be embarking on an expedition of speculation, and as a lawyer and as a professional and as somebody who is who has taken an oath to uphold the best interests of justice, and by extension the independence and sanctity of the judiciary, I couldn't possibly delve into that realm, unfortunately. But what I can certainly tell you is that since the 2017, certainly I know the Supreme Court has made many groundbreaking decisions that have not only shaped and enriched our jurisprudence as a country, but that has also had a very strong positive ripple effect on public policy, good governance, and the way this country is being and has been administered. Thank you so much, you gentlemen. I'm very grateful for this engagement. Like I said in the beginning, I call it a conversation, very interesting conversation. And I'm seeing this program for the first time, new global media, live talk show. I pray that it grows from strength to strength. Unfortunately, the internet has not been very kind with us, but hopefully there will be other opportunities to engage and to move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Jallow. Like we say in Swahili, karibu sana.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I wish you guys all the best.
Yeah,
Thank you
Mr.
so
Jallow,
much.
this is very insightful. Thank you. You are on mute. You are mute, Ousman. You are muted.
Do I have permission to go now, or should I just stay?
You are muted. You are muted, Ousman. Ousman, you are muted.
Sorry, I thought in fact I was loud. I was saying, Mr. Jallow, thank you so very much for joining us. We are very grateful that you joined this conversation, as you stated it very clearly. And of course, we wish to have you again and again. Maybe, as you stated, the connection has not been very friendly, but we hope to have you at a more convenient time and a more conducive time so that we can discuss more and more, issues related to law and how the laws will be used to guide the society for a better and then better. All right. Thank you so very much, guys. Mr. Sawaneh, you are the chief here, so take us through and then we end the program. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Famara.
Thank you.
Jallow. Definitely. Thank you, Ousman, for bringing Mr. Jallow. Thank you. We see next week, inshallah. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye. Thank you.